I just said to myself, when you go for one, you're just gonna have to commit to fuck on the paddle. Welcome to the Insiders. Matt and Daz are back. Commitment to the cause from myself this week, because you might be able to hear I am full of the old Great British Common Cold. It came on yesterday or last night, but I'm here. Wouldn't let the Insiders down. So that's me.
Nose
Quite
full of nose full of gunk,
what
Matty.
everything, face, body aching, but we're here.
Ah, is there anything worse? Well, there is. Full body gastro, both ends can take out a cold.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot worse, but how I feel right now,
Yeah,
and the
it's pretty
princess that
shitty.
I am, uh, I feel like the whole world should feel sorry for me.
You just want to lie in bed and melt.
Yeah, trying not to because I feel like that makes me worse. But yeah, pretty much. But
Okay. Did you just get some waves up there in this last little bit of European
yes,
pulsing?
probably had. I reckon yesterday I might have surfed the best I've ever surfed in my life.
You.
And yesterday morning I paddled out at a spot with Sean from Rip Curl, who kindly hooked me up with a fusion flash bomb, and what a wetsuit that is. And shit, 6 foot, like, and I was breaking it. Like the paddle out was pretty heavy, not too bad. But then like I was out the back for like 2 or 3 minutes and this set came and geez, like I went over it comfortably, but like looked back at it and was like, wow, am I like I questioned, I was like, am I like a bit out of my depth? Like, is this a bit
Is
dangerous?
that so? So is that like the biggest you surfed?
Oh, definitely. Like,
And this was like, sorry, I missed that. It was a beach break.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So you
Uh,
went out through a rip, or you just had to punch through.
Punch through, but the paddle out wasn't too bad. I reckon like 7 duck dives for like wasn't too bad, and it wasn't like must have been in between a set. But this set that came through was the biggest set of like the I was in for like an hour and a half, and that set was the biggest set that rolled through. Um, and I kind of was like, far out. This is pretty sketchy. Um, and then about 5 minutes later, slightly smaller set came through. Still pretty like smaller set for the day, but like still way over my head. And luckily it was a right, which I feel more confident in. And I just went for it. It looked a little bit more slopey because some of them were like really throwing. It looked a little more slopey. I just went for it, paddled in, paddled. Like, I just said to myself, when you go for one, you're just gonna have to commit to fuck on the paddle. And I just went for it. And I literally just stood up and went along the face and then just like rode down the face, actually like had a look at it and was like, holy shit, that's big, and then like pulled up and off the back of it. And it felt amazing. Like I done absolute
What board were you on?
I was on a 6'2" Morning of the Earth Twin Tracks Fiji, and that
Okay,
thing
there you go.
is phenomenal. Yeah, but it's been a bit of a funny one for me because the last week or so, maybe a little bit longer, like 10 days, it's really been pumping. And it's something that I've noticed, which I'm really like kind of happy about, is like 10 days ago, the first day of the swell was probably 4 foot. And when I was surfing it, I was a little bit like anxious, like, oh, it's kind of big, like not that big, but kind of big. Um, and you catch a couple of waves and you're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And then you come in, and then after that morning session yesterday, where it's huge, like literally in an hour and a half, I caught like 3 waves, like 3 proper waves. Took off on like 3 or 4 mental closeouts and I got fully flexed on one, like fully flexed. But then that afternoon, I went to a different spot and it dropped in size a bit, but it was like 4 foot, like a solid 4 foot. And I felt so comfortable in that because of what I'd been out in that morning that I was like, oh, this is how, like a year ago, what I surfed in and felt comfortable in yesterday afternoon like would have scared me. So it's pretty
Now you
cool.
see, now you see why John Florence is so comfortable when he goes to Margaret River and it's 10
Yeah.
foot West Australia and
Well, it's
most
also
people
like with you,
most people are
like,
a little bit nervous and he's just fricking.
yeah. But then it's also the same for like you, because I guess you've probably had what I've just described like 20, 30 times. And then like I was speaking to someone about it, like with a gym analogy. Like if you lift 20 kilo weights today and then tomorrow try and lift 40, it's going to feel really heavy. And then the day you go back to 20, it's going to feel a lot more comfortable. And you kind of like work your way yourself up like properly rather than just trying to go mental. But
Ex exactly, exactly. It's all about exposure. And I think it's the same, like everything. Well, I went to a skate park with my son oh, that was ages ago. It was probably last winter. And he was on his trotting out his trike. And I'd taken a skateboard and he was going off. It wasn't a bowl, but it was a pretty high sort of drop. And man, I wanted nothing to do with it at first
no,
because I hadn't been on one for years and I was never really a skater. And over about the next six visits, eventually I did one. And then the next time we went, it was easier and easier and easier. And the same with surfing. I mean, look at those
yeah,
guys in Tahiti. You got the best guys in the world going there, but they're not used to dropping into 10-foot bowls anyway, are they?
no, yeah.
What what's going on in the surf world that you've caught your eyes on?
Quite a bit. I would have to say, like, just just to top that off, the surf yesterday afternoon, where I feel like I surfed the best I have. I was on my 6'3" Album Bombardier, and that is an unbelievable surfboard.
How many fins has it got?
Four.
Okay, good.
But going from four fins to two fins, I did see some like Instagram action from the Twin Fin Invitational that William Alotti put on in France, which looked really cool.
Really? Maybe I saw who was in that. Was there
Like,
Raglan Surf
yep,
Report dude?
yeah.
Mackenzie Bowden, was he in that?
Mackenzie, Luke Sederman, Raglan Surf Report, Victor Bernardo, who won it, Asher Pacey, um, Jaleesa Vincent, Chipper Wilson, a few of the Spanish
There
boys,
you go.
Posh
My
Tudor.
mate's I got a mate staying. He saw Jaleesa Vincent this morning, and I saw Raglan surf report the other morning after I'd had a session. I felt a bit weird actually because I was running around looking for these two clients of mine that were there for a surf lesson at the Sud, and I'd actually been surfing, and I had to come in because I told them I was going to tell them I was going to take them to where they were going to have the lesson. It just
Yeah,
so turned out that it was like the best. It was our best day of the week, man. I went to check the surf and I had my 8.3 in the car. There's a lot of long stories here, but I'll nail most of them quickly because I'd snapped my 8.10 2 days before on a pretty big clean day. And now this day was bigger and I turned up with 8.3 and I seen I was on a 15-foot set up north. So I raced home and got my 9.6 because I was looking like the 8.3 was a little bit short, and I got back. It was fuck. It was just going off, man. Me, Didier Pittar, a couple of other guys out there. There wasn't really that many guys out there. It was a day of lefts. Sometimes swell direction mixes it up there. So this day was lefts. So I've come in, and Davies, thank you, Gabe Patagonia, gave me the impact vest
yeah,
at the end of winter. So I had his impact vest on, and I didn't have time to take anything off. You got to get over your shoulders. And then again, I come in because my plan was I was come in, I'd drive, find these dudes, take them to the lesson because the suits are good 250 meters down. I didn't have enough time to run, I figured. And I actually thought they were still at Estanio. I'm running around looking for them. And I find them. I got my phone with me, looking like some dude out of a movie, but I still had my impact vest on. And then I saw Arthur Genie, who must have been there filming all these dudes.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And was
yeah.
like, "How you going?" I was, "Yeah, all good." And I remember thinking they were looking at me a bit weird. And then I remembered I had my impact vest on. I don't know, I must have looked like Lard Hamilton or something like that. So yeah, so those guys were there anyway. They
Yeah,
visited a bunch of people. So that's what they were here for, was it?
yeah, yeah. And they've kept it pretty low key, but I think they're going to probably, by the sounds of things, I think it finished yesterday, I think, and they had a closing party last night. And I think from the sounds of things, they're going to release like an edit about the whole thing soon. Um, the other thing I watched was Jacob Zeke's um, vlog of the Swatch Nines event at Waco at the pool, and it done absolutely nothing for me that event. Um,
That's funny because I've deliberately not watched it on many times. Is this a thing where they do some sort of slide off a thing?
yeah, the board slide things, and they're trying to air like a hamster ball in the pool, and Matt Miola's got like a board strapped to his feet, trying to do stuff, and like Zeke's done heaps of double grabs, which I don't really like myself. But it just kind of felt it. Basically, I watched it, and I would recommend watching it because it is quite entertaining, but it didn't make me want to go and surf at all. I didn't watch it and be like, oh, I really want to go surf now. But then the I did watch the Double Vision, which is the new Billabong edit.
Oh, I'll have to have a look at that. I haven't seen that, but I'm telling you, just so listeners, you got a good grip on our DNA, our brand, the brand insiders. We're not going to talk about things like the only Wakefield thing we're going to talk about, the event that Matt's going to get anything out of my mouth will be the WCT event at Abu Dhabi, despite the fact that we're not 100% for it. Maybe it'll be a good way to show people that it's a place where tough things happen. Apart from homosexual rights, there's also like a long history of workers' slavery where yeah, there's a lot of people there under a lot of pressure. But
Worker slavery,
it's a
women's rights.
WCT event. We're not going to boycott it unless we decide to boycott it between now and then. It could happen. I'll still probably watch it. But, it doesn't mean we got to talk about it. So that's it. But
But
your division thing, what's that? Who's in it?
so yeah, it's called Double Vision. It's Parko.
Double Vision.
Yeah, so it's Parko, Jai Glinderman, Creed. Um, they're the main ones that stuck out in my head. There's
They're Aussie A team basically.
yeah, and that is like if it's pumping and you want to eat some, you want to like have a coffee and eat something while watching something to get yourself like pumped because you're about to go surf. Stick that on. It's like 10 minutes, and that makes you want to go and surf rather than Zeke's thing, which doesn't make you want to go surf. It just is kind of like semi-entertaining because it's mental.
Another thing that can motivate you to go surf is listening to Metallica's all-time epic hit One, which I was listening to the other day with Joel Gray that was down here visiting with the Groms
Yeah.
on the way to Lenore. They were on their way back from La Piste. While you're talking there, Matty, I've got all their names, and I promised
I reckon I
Joel.
could I reckon I could roll call most of them from memory.
Well, I promised him I'm going to roll. So here we go. Uh, the most epic Groms I've ever had the chance of meeting, by the way, Groms, if you're listening to our illustrious podcast. Eli Perrin Davies, Jago Taskar, Heath Gillespie. Heath drove with me back there. He drew the short straw because had to drive to Bordeaux and back twice just for their board bags because they rented a Renault van, but there wasn't enough room for everything. Isaac and Piran Friend, Oceana Perez, and Bo Howe, you legends. And they were charging. I'm telling you, there was
Yeah,
other people around this town who were swell avoiding. Huh? They go to the smaller spots like Cabreton and stuff like that. These guys charging. I'm
yeah.
telling you. Good
I
on
saw
you.
some of the footage from Joel's Instagram and fully sending it like big waves, like big beaches, like pits in not ideal conditions as well. Like it wasn't glassy or anything. They were having to work
It's not
hard for
the
it.
easiest place to come on a surf
No.
trip. We've talked about that. Like Joel and myself had this trip planned for about 4 or 5 months now. And I just kept saying to him, and he was saying, we're going to score this time. We'll be able to surf out front. They were only able to surf out front one day. And
Yeah.
the day we picked him up, we went straight from the airport and they surfed Capitan Santosha in howling onshore washing. And like, there's no way in the world you would have had me out there. And three of them went out there and gave it a dig.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good. Um, Eli's a really good kid as well. Like he's a sick surfer, really good kid. I think Heath is a really good kid. His brother and his dad are really, really good people. I know them in person. Don't personally know the rest of them, but I've seen them surfing and really, really good groms. Talking about really good groms that are really good people as well, I wanted to shout out the new Prince of France,
Oh, Jay Phipps.
and the Queen of the world, Laurie Phipps, uh,
Both French championships
champion.
title holders. Congratulations, Phippsies.
So sick. So buzzing for Jay because he's been surfing sick and he puts in a lot of time and he's just had one of those years where he's just not had the rub in comps and stuff. And um,
Wow, we've seen it at all levels, all the way to the CT. You can be surfing as good and just not get through heats, can't you?
yeah. And then Laurie's just, well, she's just the queen, isn't she? Just phenomenal as well and puts in a lot of hard work. So
By the
yeah,
way, I've heard Laurie got accepted into one of a really prestigious university in Paris to do, I think, if I remember correctly, it's kind of like a sports business studies.
oh
After the
wow.
last couple of years traveling the world, doing handy surf um, competitions and like world champ and now French champ. And I sent her a message. I said, "Well done, congratulations. Now get back to your books."
Yeah. Yeah, Laurie carries herself really, really well as well. So she'll kill it whatever she tries to do and whatever she wants to do. And even Nina, like Nina's been working on some Fipsy production stuff with her, like with her art and graphic design and stuff, and it's looking really sick too. So the Fipsies are on the up. But yeah, big shout out to Jay for taking out that championship.
In good conditions this week, I tell you.
Yeah, and the other Grom I want to shout out, just because he won't expect this, but it'll be sick. So yesterday when I paddled out at the big waves, Luke Hart and his young kid Jay, Jay Danger is his name on Instagram, was just getting out, and the Grom's like I don't know how old he is, 12 maybe, and fully like packing it, so stoked on it being like big, like. And like he genuinely motivated me to get out there and be like, well, I've got to give this a crack. So big shout out to Luke Hart's little Grom, who's no doubt going to be coming up and shredding. Um, and no big shout out to Luke for his commitment to for getting his Grom up there as well. But there was
I tell you what I watched this morning, Matt. I watched I kind of really like Jacob Wilcox does his little YouTube series and they did their little Aussie thing, which was the last comp in Sakurama on the Challenger series, which is really interesting because the video footage is appalling. They miss a lot of the waves, but it's just so watchable.
I'm
And
surprised that because I've watched all of his from this year. and I'm a big fan of them as well. And that one annoyed me a little bit, his latest one.
Okay.
I just
Why?
felt like they were a little bit American-y on the beach.
I think they were just stoked, man. They just got two of
Mm.
their best mates. You can't imagine. Like Alistair Reggiano, Joel Vaughan, and George Pittar been traveling together for 2 full years.
Yeah,
And their
yeah,
big thing of all those crew, and they told me when they were down here and we saw it, was stick together, support your mates. It does lift
100%.
the
And,
collective.
and I think next year Alistair Reginaldo will qualify because he
And
is
I
so
think
good.
that those guys were like on a few of the beers as well. And I think that's why
Yeah, I mean
they
they
got a
did.
bit.
It just got a little bit American. Like for me, like Australians are like on the beers, but they're like
Quiet and reserved.
no, not such quite a reserve, but they're not like yelling at the loud of their voice at the highest pitch, trying to get everyone's attention. And there was a couple
No,
of
no, they're
that,
trying to
but
get the judges to judge it up, mate.
yeah, potentially true. But
And you
it's
know
still
what?
really good. It was like a 30-second part of like a 18-minute video that annoyed me, but the rest of it's really, really cool.
When I'm thinking about that, I wanted to make a shout out to all the Brazilians that qualified. I'm fully stoked on them, to tell you the truth. Now, Australia used to be a working class country, and there was a lot of butlers, and they get through, and really strong surfing nation. The whole place went next level wealth. There's not really, I don't think, many of these kids that are doing, obviously it costs them money, but if they go back home and get a job, they're going to be right. And most of them probably living with their parents or whatever, because it's a high, expensive place to live in the world. But the Brazilians, that's how come they're qualifying, because they're doing it like, it's not a new story, but they're doing it to put food on the table, and good on them. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, I'm quite sure that surfing, uh, especially competitively, is going to be dominated by wealthy children. Because who else is going to live near the coastal? We've talked about this before as well. Who else is going to have coastal
yeah.
access? Who's going to live in front of the beach? It's certainly not going to be Joe Blow, and a house next to the beach down here, for example's
No,
uh, 1 to 3.5 million, and you literally have to go 30 minutes inland to look for something half affordable if you're a young couple. So that way, the kid of this young couple is going to be 30 minutes from the beach. He's only going to be surfing on weekends.
for sure. Like I'm like anyone who can make the top 10 of that Challenger series, like fully deserves it because when you look at the talent on there, you've got like Morgs was top five 3 years ago, 4 years
He's
ago,
still ripping.
still ripping, but he finished 19th on the Changers. And Jacob Wilcox, World Tour this year, fell off and then finished like
21,
14th or
21st.
was he? So he wasn't even on the bubble.
Yeah, because that was
Um,
that thing they were talking about at the end. If you get in the top 20
yeah,
on
you
the
don't have to
challenges,
redo the
yeah. So
regionals.
so he didn't. Hey, shout out to Jackson Baker, who came back from an injury. The
Yeah,
guy, you'd think he'll get back on tour.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think next year, I wouldn't be surprised next year if he won the Challenger Series.
To see how, and he's little bit of a bigger guy, to see, or I noticed, of which most people notice, someone that can do those sort of turns and look good, which is what he does.
Yeah,
It just shows how, it's just people that were born to do that sort of
I
sport.
think,
Watching a great tennis player, watching a
yeah,
gymnast.
I watched quite a lot of the Sakurama event because of working from home as well. And as well as your point, he goes a lot faster than most people. You could tell it.
Oh,
And
just rips, man.
for me, that's a sign of class. I also, to your point about the Brazilians qualifying, like absolutely hats off to them. I think what will be interesting, and the point I think a lot of people are kind of questioning is how many of the top 10, not just Brazilians, but how many of that top 10 are prepared because of the Challenger Series are now prepared to go and surf pipe.
But it's pathetic, this Challenger Series. Put it this way. It used to finish the qualifying series for all these years. We used to have a triple crown in Hawaii. It disappeared. It was the best thing at the end of the year. Haleiwa Sunset. Best way ever to finish the season. They dropped it. It's pathetic. So
Yeah.
it's not their fault.
But I
It's not their
would
fault. They
say
didn't come up with the tour, did they?
when you look at the tour now, after they've released the schedule, after pipe, there's not a wave of consequence until the cut. Like it goes, well, after pipe, it's wave pool, then um three stops in not in order, but three stops in Australia that aren't really. I know Margaret River is obviously a big heavy wave, but it's not a slabby wave, and they never run at the box. And then the other one you've got is Portugal, which obviously can be a heavy beach break, but it's not like everyone says it's not the same as surfing like pipe or chopes or whatever. So really, actually, the Challenger Series, when you come off it, you are quite prepared for the tour now,
Hey,
except
they've only just got to get through pipe. Pipe was always there. A lot of guys ended up being world champions without being the best pipe surf ever.
yeah,
Nearly every one of them ended up with an asterisk on their name. You can say whatever you want. So that's why there were certain world champs that were more recognised than others, like Tom Carroll. Tom Carroll only won 3 world titles for a fair few years, had a bit of an asterisk on his name until he won Haleiwa without stickers and stuff like that. But I wanted
also,
to do a quick mention to we got to really try and really try and get him back on the potty. Georgie Pittar, who we had last year, and I'm not going to sleep until we get Joel Vaughan on. He's just he's a quiet guy, Joel. He stayed at the house, and then I remember like a taxi dropped him off. He was having a pie every day. Now the poor kid, the year after his mum passed away from cancer, it was devastating. He kept at it, and he's only 21. And like
yeah,
I think a lot of times Joel was put in uh, over the last 18 months to 2 years. I would tend to think people think that Joel's Huey Vaughan's brother, because Quicksilver and Stab gave a lot of coverage to Huey Vaughan, who absolutely charges, really funny, good personality, and it's the youth market. And they've got him for free surfing videos, so it's easy to use, as opposed to Joel who's traveling around doing these comps. So you get a little bit less footage, but he's still locked in with Quicksilver, and he's an incredible barrel rider. Comes from the south coast there, so I think he could have a really good year. Who knows? Could get straight on there, and like I say, even him, all of them, any of them can just get smashed.
could do. But Joel, for me, instantly, I think he's like in the top five for the wave pool event. His
He's incredible.
like at that pool, if like, obviously we haven't seen that pool, but if anything's to go by from the other pool events, air game is pretty much what's important, and his air game is un it's undeniable.
It's undeniable. He's got multiple tens.
Yeah.
Snapper is going to be perfect for him. What else you got?
True.
Bells might be a little bit hard for sure. He surfed bells a lot. Um, Margies as well. Kind of probably need to be thick. We'll see. Who knows? I think the Pupo brothers will probably go well and requalify. And congratulations, they got back on. There's a few. Oh, also Jackson Brunch. That's unreal. He'll start at pipe.
Do you see that he done like a
Hawaiian.
720? I posted it on our
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
Mental.
Yeah, pretty
I'm
cool.
really intrigued to see how Marco Mignolet goes.
Oh yeah, I forgot Marco. Quicksilver Grom. I met him when he was maybe 11. We talked in the surf not long ago down here. I said, where are you? He was 10th. I said, well, you got a crack. That was straight before Portugal. He goes, I've got a chance. I've got a chance. And then straight away dudded immediately at Portugal. And I was thinking, oh no, drops out of the top 10. Then he wins the last comp.
Yeah. And
I wonder
Surf
if I
really
can
good.
get Marco on. I don't think you can contact him via Instagram. He must have 250,000 followers, of which 243,000 would be teenage girls, man.
Yeah,
He's a good-looking
he is a
kid.
good looking lad, isn't he?
And he doesn't mind the old get the t-shirt and get the rig out on Instagram. Well, hey, how else do you get followers?
Like we might have to start doing that, Daz, on the
Oh
inside.
yeah, I'm big work. I'm going to do 50 push-ups straight after I hang up.
Yeah, but yeah, like so I think I do actually like we obviously spoke about it before, and like yes, Alejo Menez is back on and a couple of others where they don't like get us excited like this conversation is. But a lot of the 10 that qualified and the girls, like Aaron Brooks and
No, we didn't talk about the girls. Aaron Brooks,
Vahine is I think
Aaron, unreal. Fahine starts off the year pipe. That's fantastic.
yeah.
Aaron Brooks, she can charge. So there's two more girls that are going to go for it.
And
Sully,
I reckon Sally's gonna crack it this year.
congratulations,
She's
Sully.
so good.
She's undeniable.
And who
And
else?
here's a super interesting thing because obviously people want to slag her off and say, "Oh, you're old. You've been on it." She's not old, man. She's
No,
30. Well, how old is she? 34, 35?
I think yeah, 30, 35.
Why would you like, why do you
But
have to
Kelly was
retire?
surfing. Kelly was surfing to his 50. Well, Kelly's 51
Still, there you
and
go.
still absolutely ripping. And
So why should you come off because you're a woman just because there's a good 17-year-old on tour?
yeah, and the thing is Sally last year had the second highest heat total, I think it was, of the year, and she just got really unlucky because last year
There you
she,
go.
the way she qualified, she got
Hey,
unlucky.
of the old school, I think she's someone that's actually taken more interest in progression than most of the other. She's got an air game. She can charge.
She's
I read Gen C kind of write her off in a Beach Grit article the other day about not having a dig at pipe, but I think she might have a dig at pipe. Oh, well, we'll
she
see.
definitely gives it a crack. She's like super competitive. Like you don't if you're on the tour, like you do not ever want to see Sally in your heat.
I tell you who I think will be an interesting person to see at Pipe next year on the women, Betty Lou Sakura.
Yeah.
The one she lives there. She's going to
Yeah.
be going into there like tour's finished. She's already back home at Haleiwa.
Yeah.
As soon she's got 3 months, and she's already done it before, and she got 10. She should have got a 10 on that right hander. That was the heaviest wave I thought of the comp. Um, and she went good on the left, so I think she's going to
100%.
be a dark horse to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. I think she's right up there and I think she'll be fired up as well. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Did you see actually, we've got 5 minutes left talking about the women's tour. Did you see that Molly Pickham has agreed to part ways with Micro?
No, I didn't see that.
Apparently she's going it alone this year.
Yeah, good on her. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to the point where she's been around the circuit 3 or 4 times now. So
Kind of
uh,
knows what she's doing.
yeah, I wonder if she's going to go like down the local coach road for each event. So for Pipe get
How about, for example, the 10 Aussies? I thought about that you saw, and maybe there was a coach there. Jay Bottle Thompson was there. Yeah, they had a
yeah,
coach, but they weren't that much coach. They actually stole the shine off the two percenters. Quick, before I get lost, here's one for our listeners and for you, Matt. So I snapped my 8, 10 and a half, 3 1/4 thick, by the way. Bradley gun right through the middle. I've taken it around to a mate, Kev Olsen. We stood on it because it was still in one piece, huh? Like a banana. We stood on it, cracked it. It's going to be about €200, 225 to get fixed because then I noticed there was a future box cracked as well. Do I fix it? It's an age-old question. When you
Is
snap a board, do you
my
fix it?
question with a board like that and a snap like that is how if he repairs it, how like if you went under one wave, if one wave lands on it again, is it just going to go again?
I
But
don't think so, unless it's a big one.
I think it's
Maybe.
worth
I don't know.
I think it's
I'm
worth
trying to work out if the actual flex and the rocker is that important to me on an 811, which is that thick. Am I going to notice? Because it's going to be heavier, which is sometimes good. It's
my
like
opinion.
Kev reckons all the ones he fixes like that go better.
Yeah, my opinion, it's definitely worth at least one fix. If it goes again, then probably not. But at least one life is definitely worth it.
Okay, so $200 is not an unreasonable call to get a 1,000 euro board fixed.
No. I guess the way I'd see it is if you saw that board for sale, if someone walked into your shop and was like selling this board after like your guy does the repair and everything like that, he repairs it all, it looks sweet, but you can see it's got a crack. Someone walks into your shop and goes, selling this for $200, do you want to buy it? You'd probably be like, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're selling for $200, you might as well not spend the $200. You'd have to sell it for $400 to get your two
You've
hundred
already
bucks
got
in your
it.
pocket.
So
I
I
don't think I'd feel, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable selling it, but maybe I'm just going to get it done as a backup, but then I'm going to be looking at it.
I don't mean for you to sell it, but I mean more like,
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
yeah. But
Two hundred bucks and you got yourself, and I've got myself a board again.
yeah, well, exactly. Like, what can you get for $200?
I think
That,
I'm going to do it and
yeah,
then see if I can get the wave of my life on it just for the point of it.
yeah, you can't get a replacement that's going to be that board for $200 anyway. So,
Oh, double shout out then to Damien Marley and Chipperon surfboards. Put a tag for me,
yeah,
Matty, when we do this post. He saw me come in. He was out there. It was mega crowded. You will have all seen the footage, or if you haven't had a look of Mandaka, which was the day before or the same day. It was school holidays. It was a Sunday. It was 28 degrees. It was a perfect swell forecast. So there's a few hundred people at the spot I was on. And I come up with a snap board, and Damien just goes, "Take mine, man." And I was like, "No, I can't do that." And on top of that, it looked a bit weird. And I said to him, "You sure?" He's like, "Yeah, take this." I said, "No, I'm going to go home and get me other one." A guy lends me the keys for his car so I can drive home and get another one. Can't find his car. Come back to ask him where the car is. Damien's still there. And I said, "Okay, I'll take it." Went out on this board. It went insane. Had thin
yeah,
fins, had S wings, and then I was just questioning everything. I was like, geez, I've put like 3, 4 years into getting this design done with Christian. And then I just take a random board and it nearly went better.
yeah.
It's just amazing surfboards.
That's
Good
the
on you,
chase, isn't
Damien.
it?
And how cool is that? That's the surfing spirit,
Yeah,
no?
for sure.
Lend someone in need a board.
And also, that day at Mandaka, just to point on that, the video I saw of the amount of people in that lineup is
Why would you
obscene.
paddle out?
Obscene the amount of people.
Why would
It
you paddle out?
crazy, but each to their own, I guess.
There's a lot of surfers in Europe now. Is at the beginning of the end.
No, it's not the beginning of the end. You just have to put up with it.
Keep You just got to keep up with it and don't give up surfing.
That's
Don't give
it.
up. Don't give up.
Never
Don't
give
let
up.
them get to you.
Keep pushing yourself as well, because
Well, thanks for coming, Matty. We're going to have a guest as soon as we can in the next couple of weeks. And if we don't have a guest, we won't have a guest. Suck
oh,
that.
exactly. Au
All
revoir.
right. Au revoir.